for Ellie, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how I approach this. So if you are a new tarot reader, you can kind of learn how I think things through, or at least process them in my head when I do a reading. And then if you are the Ellie, just giving me permission to do this with her reading, so that way it's educational for you, and obviously she gets hopefully the wisdom and insight and clarity she needs in her situation. So her question is, it's about a romantic relationship. And it says, will I be in a love relationship with the letter M? So Ellie's interested in seeing if there will be a relationship. You can see here I've done the Celtic cross spread here. And we'll go through one card at a time. One thing I teach in my tarot reading course, if you've been following me along for a while, is if you can read two cards together, then you can read any spread. It doesn't matter how big they are or anything like that, because the duality of the positions of the cards really creates the tension to give you the insight and the wisdom into what is going on. I tell you, if you've seen, I have a popular numerology video about numerology and tarot. So the first things I would see in this reading is the first two cards here are threes. So you have the Three of Wands and the Three of Pentacles here at the center. And so by taking these two cards together, say, what is the current situation? What is the energy acted upon the situation? The fact that it's threes in numerology is going to be pretty important in two ways. One, three is a very creative number in numerology. 1+1, in that case, 1+1 = 3, because it's a new energy, new creation. It's also a social number because you're interacting with other people. But on the numerology, from 1 to 9, 1 to 10, however you read it, it's not very far along. So you can see here what we're seeing is the beginnings of this connection, this relationship, and things like that. So we have the Three of Pentacles, and there's a lot of pentacles in this reading. So many pentacles. So pentacles really deal with your the earth and the physical plane energy, your resources, things you need to get through in life here. I also personally view it as, not just so you need some of your health for sure to get through. So it's not, people always associate it immediately with money and finances, and it can be for sure, but it's also everything you need on the physical plane that'll get you through life, which can include your physical health. And it certainly did a lot of readings during the pandemic where it certainly represented mental health. In this case, the Three of Pentacles, and I chose to do the Lightseers tarot card deck for this reading, just because I love some of the imagery and it gives a really fresh perspective on things. This is traditionally one you're looking at the archway of a castle in the Rider-Waite deck. So this is almost like the celebration of a milestone or this kind of creativity. It's like the project isn't completed, but you're making progress on it. So if Ellie was with me, and I would probe a little bit around how would they find this connection with M? How are they connected? Is it through, this can obviously be associated with work type of things or projects, or, if you're working on a program together, but there's some cooperative, working together or building something, or, somehow some connection beyond just obviously the romantic connection or some whatever's going on between the two of them. And what's working on it right now is the Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands in the tarot, wands deal with your fire sign energy, which is really just what excites you, really what gets you up in the morning. I call it almost like your alarm clock. What is it that when you wake up in the morning, you're excited to get out and do? That's really the fire energy that really gets you going in life. And the Three of Wands in this case, this is really, the die has been cast. This is almost waiting. This card is physically waiting for your ships to come in here, up here on the ledge. The card before this is the Two of Wands, which really says you have a decision to be made. But now with the Three of Wands, this is almost like you've made your decision. The die has been cast, and now you're kind of waiting to see how the universe is responding to it, right? And then, as I've been reading for a long time, especially since the pandemic, I'm actually getting goosebumps right now as I'm talking about this card and giving details, and usually that gives me an indication that I'm on the hunt or the right path, or this energy is actually important or critical to other parts of the tarot card reading. So we have these two threes here in the middle. And so when you can see above here, there's the Five of Pentacles as well as the Four of Pentacles in the future state. We'll get to those in a minute, but a broad picture for a new tarot card reader, if you're getting intimidated by large readings like this Celtic cross spread here, just take a step back and kind of look at the big picture, what you're seeing. So we have 2 3s in the center, but you can see the 3 of Wands, the three of Wands, yes, but also the 3 of Pentacles, the 5 of Pentacles, the 4 of Pentacles, all kind of in a row, pretty close in here, proximity. So what that says to me, if this is broadly talking about this process of possibly having this love relationship, this is almost like fits and starts, or like, maybe not, are we not, and that kind of stuff, like that kind of delicate dance of energy that you may have. And that may certainly be true if there's some other connection that you may have, that you're either worried about crossing boundaries or worried about losing a friend, whatever the case may be. If this is a friendship turn into a relationship, whatever that kind of energy. When I see this in tarot card readings, this is kind of like fits and starts, especially when you've got the Knight of Swords energy. So we'll go through the before and after energy. So the first pair, if I want to talk about, for those keeping track at home or trying to manage pairs, is we're dealing with just the 3 of Pentacles and the 3 of Wands together. And this kind of energy becomes, that's why I would ask Ellie if you were here in person, is like, have you already, this is like the 3 of Wands in this case is almost like your shoot your shot card, right? So this is, so either have you either hinted at this individual or suggested or flat out asked to see if they wanted to be in a relationship with you. That's kind of some of the energy that's coming from this 3 of Wands, because you're really, the die's been cast. You kind of set that out there. Now you're kind of waiting to see how they respond. How's the universe going to respond to me? Is it going to be positive? Is it going to be negative? What the case might be. Now, the next 2 cards will take it through, but I would connect them to the other ones, but I'll show you them separately. Is the before situation is the Knight of Swords, and the after is the 4 of Pentacles. So the Knight of Swords, this one, it kind of goes along with the other ones, but this is the Knight of Swords is, communication, but it's the beginning, inkling. This would be, if you didn't know this individual, and this is from the recent past, this would be like someone reaching out or starting a communication or dropping in your DMs or something like that. This is, inklings of a communication. You're early in a relationship reading, you'll get these kinds of things where someone's got to, reach out and actually start the pathways of communication to kind of get the ball rolling to see who's interested in who and what the case might be. So seeing this Knight of Swords in the recent is like, did you guys have you been, I would say, dancing around this is kind of the best energy for it, but have you been like talking about this or thinking about this, or is there some are you asking for this reading because there's miscommunication on your part, where you feel like you are overtly hinting and maybe they're not picking up the ball and running with it, and you're wondering, are they just not catching on, or are they know exactly what I'm catching on and kind of trying to bat it away? That kind of energy is this, like I said, this fits and starts, this dancing, will we, won't we, like that. There's some of this energy here in these cards because they're early on. I call them immature cards, and I don't mean that in a maturity like, oh, these are bad cards, but almost like these are the early cards. This is the beginning, and this isn't like, if I saw some other cards, I would just be like, oh, you've been in this relationship for a long time. It's heartbreak city, whatever the case might be, or you have this long history together. That's not what I'm kind of seeing here. I'm kind of seeing there's some connection here. That's why I kind of want this 3 of Pentacles, some social 3 energy connection here, but it is almost like that dance, will we, won't we, that kind of stuff. So now in the second half of it, in the future energy states come in the next few months, what the case might be, is the 4 of Pentacles. So this card is the Miser. So this is almost missing out on opportunities because you're afraid of losing what you have. So I would, if you were with me, I would kind of ask, is this M's energy or your energy? This is almost like, now that the die, because you almost have this, you've communication or some hinting, maybe you've shoot your shot, and almost like this energy of the future is, if you had this social relationship or this connection previously, are you afraid of losing that? And this would be that a real hesitation of the fear of losing whatever you may have, if that's on a friendship level or sociable workplace kind of level, for fear of losing that which is fairly valuable for the possible opportunity for this broad relationship. And I'm going to guess, based on some of the cards, I'm going to jump in on this one, but this is more M's energy on this one, because there's some hesitation or something there, because you have this 3 of Wands energy, you've got a King of Pentacles energy and an Emperor energy, which you'll have coming up on the right side, which really says to me, you are not uncertain about this. You kind of know, and we'll kind of get to that card next with the judgment card, but you really know what you want, what you're going for, and that's why you are obviously asking, you want to be in this love relationship with M. However, whether you're trying to figure out whether what the response is, or it's more complicated than may seem on the surface, that's kind of what we're getting at with this kind of energy. Especially so that's kind of the energy of the next pair. So the first pair with the 2 3s, this next pair is this Knight of Swords, which is some kind of initial communication, and then coming up through the threes is the 4 of Pentacles, which is almost this miser, like this loss avoidance, fear of taking a chance and not having it work out, because the miser's kind of holding all their coins together. You can see she's kind of clutching the purse here. And the regular Rider Waite card, this is someone with their feet on all their coins and their hands just wrapped all around them. So this is truly afraid of investing what it might take to make it work out, just because they're afraid if it doesn't work out, then XYZ. This will be a tarot. I would have invested all this time, effort, especially if there's some moving in with someone, moving city to city, whatever case may be. When you typically see this in tarot card readings, it says that they're just afraid to invest in this because the loss is really what they're focusing on. They can't see the big picture. What if this works out successfully? They see like, what if this doesn't work out and I end up with this loss, right? And that's kind of the energy we're getting from this. Now, the next 2 cards, below the situation and above the situation, this is like what people see and then what's working on underneath it. So I like to start from the bottom. So this is your first major arcana card in this tarot card reading, and this is the judgment card. So this one, I really view this as, I love the way the light seers do, to get almost this connection with your true and authentic spirit, because the judgment card I really view as, you getting connected with your true calling. So whether you truly understand it or truly feel it, because it's since it's in this position on the bottom, it's a subconscious response right now, which is really saying you feel like you know and understand what your true calling is, or what you're made to do, or really connecting to your authentic self. And so maybe that's why you are willing to go through and shoot your shot, because you've figured out some things about yourself and about this person that you want to shift gears or change it from a friendship or whatever association you may have to something more romantic. It's connected to your higher calling. That's why I will get to this in the other half. But you have a lot of pieces of these cards that show that you have a lot of clarity, confidence, and maturity on your cards. But the overall situation isn't necessarily moving forward initially, either as fast as you like or equivalent to that energy. And that's why the next card in this pair, so the one below is Judgment and the one above is the 5 of Pentacles. So outwardly, what are people seeing? Since this is an outward energy, your close friends and associates should be seeing this. The 5 of Pentacles on its own, 5 is a change in numerology, but this is really a short-term loss in whatever the resources of the Pentacles is. So it could be money or health. And that's why this like fits and starts. So it's almost like, if you did go ahead, you guys, well, I'll even go back further. If you were talking or communicating in some way previously in the Knight of Swords, and maybe you shoot your shot, in case might be, and actually you breach the subject and kind of just declare what you may want, and if they really are almost hesitant or afraid of loss, or just not willing to dive into it or invest in it right now because they're only thinking the negatives versus the positives, then you are outwardly feeling the situation of like, oh man, this is a short-term loss for me, right? That's why it's like fits and starts, because you got this 3 4 5 of Pentacles energy just kind of swirling around here, and we're not making huge leaps and jumps to other things, higher energy types of cards and so forth. So outwardly, some people may see this as, you're kind of sulking a little bit. Maybe that's why you're reaching out for a tarot card reading, because it's feeling like a disappointment right now. And I think the best advice I can give you is to really focus on, because I always tell people they come to me to understand if the tarot card reading is going to work for that situation. However, honestly, the cards actually don't care whether or not the situation works out or not, but really what it means for you on your journey. And there are so many positive cards here for you. And at least from this first half, the one that I would focus on for you is congratulations. If you really did have the braveness to shoot your shot and, at least kind of broach it, whether they received it in that way or not, that's a super brave thing to do and part of your journey. And you are starting to connect with what you feel like you're meant to do. And if you, whether this situation works out or not, we'll get to that in a little bit, but whether or not it does work out, if you are connecting to your higher self and living a more authentic life, in line with you, that can only benefit you long term versus trying to live someone else's life or what the life other people, the peer pressure that people may have on society, whatever it is that you may feel like the life other people want you to live, that's never going to bring you true happiness. And even though it may be bumpy on the way, if you are connected with your higher self and living an authentic life to you, it's going to pay super dividends down the road. And at the end of life, you're going to live, a life more fulfilling because you're going to feel like, okay, at least I did it my way, right? So that's kind of the first energy you can see here. We just really broke it down to 3 pairs of cards. The 2 in the center, which is the current situation energy acting upon it. The 2 on the left and right, which is the before and after the situation. And then above and below the situation, which is more the external energy people see and the subconscious energy people may not see behind the scenes. Now we're going to go on the right hand side, which is really energy that's coming to you, then your environment, your hopes, dreams, or fears, and then the outcome of the situation, right? So the energy that's coming to you, which is very interesting, I always talk about this duality and polarity kind of energy. So you have this outwardly may not be making as progress, on the physical plane where it's, you just feel like it's not, fits and starts, that kind of energy that we're talking about. However, that's energy that's coming to you, and that's why I say this is still very positive, is because if it's coming through your spirit guides, guardian angels, and your connection to your more authentic life, the energy that's coming to you is the 6 of Wands. So this is the victory card. So it's like, really, you can see someone here. What I love about this one is someone standing on a stage in a spotlight. I talk about this with the Sun card, which is how you want to see and be seen. So the 6 of Wands is really about achieving victory. And so it's going to get connected to this 3 of Wands card we talked about previously, where if you were brave enough and actually put your intention, like, the universe doesn't do really well with quiet held intentions and whispers and prayers, right? If you are willing to actually say it out loud, or say it to the universe, or say it to friends, but the case may be exactly what you want, or say it to the person that you're interested in, of course, the universe can't help but respond to that energy. And so if you even just put the intention out there, hey, I've found out, just, figured out some things about me, connected with my authentic self, what I want out of life, this is the type of relationship I'm looking for, whatever the case may be, then the universe is going to help you bring that to you. And that's why the energy you should be feeling, because even if it's on the physical plane, it's a little more complicated. This fits and starts, not sure where it's going. This 4 of Pentacles energy is almost this, kind of stuck or hesitation kind of energy. But for you on your Wands plane, your fire sign plane, victory, because I think you're seeing the potential in yourself that if you actually just manifest some things and put your intentions out there, you will. Like, even though if it's, I think it's almost the feeling of, like, at least from my perspective, like, you actually ask someone out, whether or not it works out or not, you feel great. You're like, oh, at least I know now, right? And at least I know I have the bravery, the potential to actually do this. So the next time it's going to be, it's going to work out, or things will naturally come to me, and so forth. Now, the energy, the next one that's coming into your environment, this is the King of Pentacles. So this really, again, this is why I say you have a pretty clear picture of what you want. The King energy is not immature energy like the Knight of Swords. So the King is someone who truly is connected with what they want on the physical plane. This is someone who knows, what they want to do, what their resources will be, with their mental health, all these things that they want to do, right? The kings are the action takers. So that's why this next pairing becomes very powerful. You have the victory and you have this king energy. So obviously once you know what it is that you want, you are getting this energy of, like, yes, go after it. You can achieve whatever you want and get victory. And the environment around you is saying, absolutely, if this is what you want and you know what you want, then we're going to try to help make it forward. So specific to M in this situation, if you are getting mixed signals or frustration or not sure how it's taking it, and you've seen this fits and starts, will, we, won't, this dance kind of energy, honestly, in this situation, I wouldn't give up on it. I would keep going. And really, now that you know that there's this kind of hesitation, there's probably some bigger picture that if we did a reading with them, we would kind of get an idea of understanding what's going on with them. But like this hesitation kind of energy or fear of loss energy, it may have nothing to do with you. It may have something to do with them and their journey and their connection to their authentic self, whatever the case might be. But if you just keep really moving forward with your energy, which is I can achieve exactly what I want. I can get the relationships that I want, and the environment is great for me. You're almost just sitting there like, hey, if you need some time, you figure yourself out. But I am a fantastic situation. You're connected with what you want. You know what you want mentally. You are like in a great place. It's almost like, hey, you have to view yourself as like, I'm a great catch. I would be an amazing, if you probably sat down, if I was in a relationship and I was with the right person, this is how I would treat them. This is how I would take care of them. It'd be an amazing thing for them. Almost seeing like I'm giving someone a great opportunity here. So they should be jumping at it. That's probably why you're, feeling a little bit lost. Like it should be a no brainer to jump into this amazing opportunity I'm giving to somebody. But I would be patient and wait it out because you're almost just sitting there with those two positive cards like, hey, okay, I'm going to, I'm just going to be an amazing opportunity over here, and hopefully the right person recognizes that and jumps at it, if that makes sense, right? Because the next card here is your hopes, dreams, or fears. This is another subconscious energy. As you go through and go forward, what might pop up that you may not understand or may miss? And this is the Emperor card. So the Emperor card is really, I call this the who's the boss card, right? Because you can have this great connection with the authentic self. You can have all this positive energy coming to you. At some point, if you want the life you want to have, you have to be the driver of the car and not the passenger of the car. So the Emperor, this is Aries energy. This is really like who's the boss in the situation. So at some point, in order to have the relationships you want, you're just going to have to take the bull by the horns and really declare it. Now, obviously, relationships two to tango. You can't just make someone want to be in a relationship with you. But if you are that sure of what you want and you know how you would treat somebody, you're in the driver's seat. You can choose to be patient and see if they're going to come along, see if they break through this hesitation or this fear of loss, whatever the case might be on their end. Or if you sit and if you have to leave this energy of feeling down on things because it's not happening at the pace you want, the speed you want, it's like fits and starts versus you're like, I'm ready for all of this. But if you sit with your very positive energy and say, okay, I'm on the right path for myself, I'm connected with my authentic self and what I want to do and where I want to go, you're going to naturally attract the right energy to you. And you'll have to make a decision down the road and say, okay, if there's still this inkling, but there's this dance, I call it orbiting people, right? People are in their orbit, right? This individual is still in my orbit, and whether they're making the decision whether they choose to jump or not into this relationship with me. But at some point, if you sit with that amazing energy of yours, other people are going to come along and notice it, right? And you're going to start to try, if you are living in that right energy, like acting like you were in a relationship or how you would treat people, and just outwardly in how you take care of people are going to notice it, and you may have to make a decision like, okay, I can't wait for you any longer because there's other amazing people coming to into my orbit because of all this massive amazing energy that I'm giving off, if that makes sense. So that's why I would say you have to, one, put yourself in the driver's seat. And it sounds like usually when I see things like the Three of Wands, it really says that you're taking your shot, right? You're making a decision, you're playing the game, you're not being a passenger, you're declaring what you want, and now you just have to sit back and see what happens. But at some point you may have to make a decision to be patient with this or move on from it, because if they're not willing to meet you, or and it could just be a short period of time where they just got their own stuff to deal with and they kind of feel it out and so forth. But that's really what I see from that energy. And then the final card, which is the outcome of the situation, is the Page of Pentacles. What it says right now is Page is immature energy, but at least it says it's a fertile environment for getting what you want here on the Pentacles. We've had a 3 Pentacles, a 4 Pentacles, a 5 Pentacles, all that kind of stuff. So much King of Pentacles, so many Pentacles energy. What it's really come to is the environment around you. That's why normally when I see some of the Emperor and all those energies, I might say like jump ship, but that's why I would say this can also be like hold the course or be patient, because It may not be the maturity and the that King of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, ready to meet you kind of energy, but it is the Page of Pentacles. So the environment's conducive, whether that means, through your associations and whatever's been happening, whatever awkward energy or fits or starts, they're still in each other's orbit, right? So you still have the opportunities to connect and see if something comes out of it. It's maybe not happening at the speed or pace that you want, but at least that connection hasn't been blown up, right? Like they're still in your orbit, still some opportunities there for that. And the page just says it's a fertile environment for growing the relationships you want, which means there probably still is some kind of connection there or some routine ways that you guys may still communicate and so forth. But this is the last pair that kind of becomes important, which is you've got this, the environment is positive towards this, but you've got this emperor energy of like at some point who's the boss. Like you gotta take charge. If the situation isn't heading where you want to be, what can you do to make it head that way? And sometimes that may be pivoting to a different situation if they're more responsive or going to meet you, where you want to be. Because at some point, the most important thing I think you can get from this is you put the intention out to the universe. I am ready for this type of relationship with this type of person. And I'm going to be amazing. I'm going to treat them well, right? The universe is going to respond to that kind of energy and bring you those types of people. But if some people doesn't respond to that and say, okay, I'm, for whatever reason they're hesitating, they don't see it as amazing, they're slow walking it, they've got some hang-ups, you can just be patient on for them if they're on their own journey and maybe you're further along spiritually than they are. But at some point the emperor energy is really like, who's the boss? Like, are you getting what you want out of the situation? Like, are you manifesting what you want? And that may be like, okay, just be the loving person you are and be more patient. Or at some point it's probably going to be, hey, if you want to be in this amazing relationship and it's not happening with this individual, maybe it's time to move on. So I know that's not as concrete about will you be in a love relationship for them, but I think what it really says is you are ready. Like there's the energy coming from you is, Emperor, King of Pentacles energy, Six of Wands energy, Three of Wands energy. Like you are in this judgment, really, you are more connected with your authentic self. And so you are doing all the right things, and you should sit there just feel good about that, and almost like, it's got to be someone on their journey, their energy, whatever it might be, whatever their hangups are in the situation, what it might mean, society, their friends, their family, all the hangups, that whatever could be out there in the world, the hesitation. So I would try to, and then my advice would be in the short term, while the Page of Pentacles energy says it's a fertile environment, you're still going to have this connection, still be in each other's orbits, whether you're not sure where it's going to go. But just keep your intentions of what you want in front of you and be acting in that energy as loving as possible. And then at some point that emperor energy is going to come back to you. And I would actually maybe even, save the emperor, pull the emperor card and put it by your mirror in the bathroom, the case may be, remind you every day, like, are you getting what you want out of this? Because, someday someone else may pop up and be interested in you. And if you're ready for a relationship and they're ready for a relationship, you may have to pivot to someone who's ready to meet you where you are, versus wait for someone to work through whatever their fear, their hesitation, that Four of Pentacles energy that's kind of making them, loss avoidance, risk avoidant, or just holding back from really jumping into it, right? And that's kind of what you want out of a love situation, is to say, who knows what's going on, who knows what the world will have for us, but we're just going to jump into this and see how it goes, because that's how love should be, and so forth. So I hope this is helpful. I hope it's helpful for you, Ellie, and I hope it's for people to see how I approach reading things and making connections between the pairs and the other cards. And hopefully this will serve you really well and help you. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me and go back and forth. Now what I'm going to try to do is see if I can get a good thumbnail out of this by really making myself a little bit bigger, and then really spending some time here. That's too big for me. And just really kind of showing a card here for a while, just showing, see if I can really spend enough time on this to make sure that it pops out as a, I guess I can make my own images, but I usually like to try to force it to do some kind of image on this. That way this will be the thumbnail for it, which I think will be more helpful than just a bunch of cards in the background. But if you have any questions, reach out and you want to do any more work, I do astrology, numerology charts, life path readings. I do all kinds of things for people. I want to help you wherever you are in your spiritual journey. I know I can help you connect with your more authentic self. And once you start living a life more connected to your authentic self, that's where the magic happens. Thanks so much.